Hi everybody. I wanted to take a crack at describing this. As you can tell, I'm obviously driving, but this is a good place to think and convey ideas. It's also the cool thing to do these days. I see people recording videos when they're driving their car, and they seem really cool. So maybe that will up my cool factor. At the same time, we'll see. So it's good to laugh with yourself. So this is what I wanted to describe to you, is the three-body system, and why sometimes it doesn't work and it literally feels like it. In other words, your life is not working, and why there feels like a disintegration or a lack of harmony with yourself. So first of all, to understand the feeling, there needs to be an understanding of the parts of the system. And the parts of the system are really simple, but what most teachers do not describe is their priority or authority or seniority over the other parts. And by understanding the authority or priority or seniority, whatever word works for you, over the other parts, we can understand why we feel the way that we do. And I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So the three-body system, or the three parts, sometimes there's a fourth body known as the environment, by the way, but we're just going to be dealing with the internal environment because that can shape how we feel about the external environment. So the three-body system is as follows. We have the spirit, the I am, the me-ness, the you, the one that thinks about the thoughts. Spirit, soul, Phaeton, whatever word you want to use to describe it. The I am, the inner being. That is number one. That has the highest seniority because it is the cleanest, I guess we could say, the most pure, the most connected expression of source that we have the ability to hear, utilize. It's our individuated soul expression of self, which is everything. So let's just call that the I, or the I am, or the inner being, or the spirit. I'll use either of those words to describe it. So that's number one, and that has the highest seniority, the highest priority, and is what influences, or is what determines the set point for how you feel in your three-body system. Okay, so that's number one. And number two, if we wanted to draw this out, it could be side by side, or what we could have is we could have that here, which is directly connected to source, and then below that we have the mental body. Okay, and this would fit under the parameters of the physical system. So we would have the mental body, which has our habits and our consistent ways of thinking. The next one is the emotional body, and that is more of a guidance system, so we're going to put that off to the side and use that like a compass. That's what we're trying to understand, is why we feel the way that we do, because the feelings will actually override most of the other elements, most of the other parts, and will direct our actions, behaviors, and words. So we're trying to understand why we feel the way that we do. If we feel low, if we feel high or connected, this is what I'm trying to describe here. Okay, so the third system, so we have the I am, the you. We have number two, which is the mind, the thoughts, the thinking. And then number three is we have the physical system, the physical body. Okay. The physical body includes the cells, includes the veins, includes the energetic chakra system, if your chakra's closed or open. Includes the meridian points, Chinese meridians, and so forth. It includes your blood, it includes your organs, it includes all of that stuff. Okay, so why is this important? Why am I describing it? I'm telling you this because these are three different consciousnesses that we all have. Every human being has these consciousnesses. And when we understand that the physical body has to pee, for example. We all have to pee, we understand that. We all have to, or not have to, but we may choose to eat. The physical body may want some physical energy, okay, for whatever reason. The physical body may need to move or exercise. These are tendencies of the physical body. Next, we have the mental body. So the mental body may want to eat. I'm just giving you that example because we have a habit or a certain feeling physically that generates a certain thought, or we may just be running on a program, a consistent habit, thinking that we need to eat, or we may need to eat for the thoughts, to nourish the thoughts, okay, to give to the thoughts. So our eating, as an example, may be simply to fulfill a mental need. Okay? Another form of thinking would be a certain habit of thinking a certain way about something consistently. That may be another form of thought. Okay? Of the thought body, or of the thought system, or thinking system, or mental system. Okay? And then we have that other system which is senior to all of the others, which is the I am, or the spirit, soul, inner being, and so forth. So the reason why sometimes we feel negative is because our inner being, our self, is very much connected to well-being. It's very much connected to love and bliss and joy in this most expansive state. And then our thinking may have these certain patterns of thought that describe, oh, we are not that. That might be a pattern of thinking. Or we may have had a situation or even picked up a thought form from someone else, and we start running that, and it might be the thought form of, we're not good enough, right? So you start thinking this thought form of, we're not good enough, or I'll never be able to do it, or you may get a mental image of, say, your bills that need to be paid, and then that sticks in the mental body, it sticks in the mental system, and it starts to create this dissonance between the I am, which is of well-being and bliss and love and will give you everything that you could ever want and need, but the mental system is out of alignment with your I am, with your source, with your inner being, with your individuated soul consciousness, individuated version of self. Okay? Now, because there's that dissonance, because there's a mental body that wants to go this way, and there is a inner being or soul that wants to go this way, we're now out of harmony with ourselves. And when we're out of harmony with ourselves, it's the same feeling. If you want to know what this feels like, go start a fight with somebody. Like, literally, go start an argument with somebody and see how that feels. You may have went from a place of harmony into a place of disharmony, and it doesn't feel good. It feels unpleasant. It doesn't have an uplifting type of feeling. Okay? So it's the same type of situation on the inner part of you as well. If one of these bodies or systems is out of harmony with another system, we will feel this tug of war, one pulling this way, or they might be fighting each other. And when that happens, then that explains our emotional system, which our emotional system will be giving us feedback on what this three-body system is doing. Okay? So our emotional system might be saying something, might be giving us this feeling of tension or compression or this low feeling, or whatever word you want to describe, fear. Because what's happening internally is your I am knows where it's going, understands that it asks and it receives, understands that everything is happening for it. But the mental system has a mental picture of the bill collectors coming and say losing the store, or losing one's job, or losing one source of income, or letting somebody down. And it has this mental picture that's playing. Okay? Now the same is also true with the physical system. The physical system may be going through the same thing as well. So what happens when the physical system is doing that, it may be that because of the misalignment with the mental and the inner being, now the physical system starts to go out of alignment. And when you look at the seniority of these three bodies, what does it look like? Well, on the top we have the spirit, or the soul, or the I am, or the inner being. Below that we have the mental system, and then below that we have the physical body. So the physical body is the last place that you're going to get the negative feedback. It's why people end up in the hospital, for example, and they're on death's doorway, because they've ignored the inner being, they've invalidated it or discluded it, and they've also ignored the mental stuff going on, the mental feedback, and now they're feeling it on a physical level, and they're wondering why they're sick, or why they're unhealthy, or why they're feeling whatever it is that they're feeling, or the body's experiencing whatever it's experiencing. And the truth of the matter is, the reason why their body feels the way that it does is because they've ignored or invalidated or discredited the feedback that has happened in that first came in the spirit form, that then came in the mental form, and then is now showing itself physically manifest. Now the same is true in reverse. Now we're talking about negative feelings. The same is true in reverse. So manifestation works the same way. Let me give you an example. You think of something that you want, you ask, and you receive. Now the next step is for you to get in harmony with your other bodies, with the asking. Once you're in harmony with it, once your thoughts are aligned, and once your thoughts are aligned, and once your body, your physical system is, allowing, then guess what? Then it just happens. It just comes in. So this is why it's important, and why very successful people exercise regularly. They have mental things that they do. So they read books that program their mind a certain way, that repeat certain words or patterns. They set their focus on a goal. They set their focus on something that they want in their life. It aligns their I am, their inner being. It aligns their mental body, and then what they do with the physical is they do whatever it is they need to do so that the physical can free flow that energy in. So the physical, because the physical is a result, all we have to do with the physical is to keep it open, to keep it flowing. And sometimes what that means is, if our mind is tangled up and our inner being is trying to get the information through, but we have this tension in our physical body, sometimes we just need to go and forget about everything, forget about all this manifestation stuff, forget about what we're trying to bring in, and just go and do something fun. And that's why when you hear certain teachers talk about doing just forgetting about whatever it is that you're working on and going to the happy, peaceful garden, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about going to the happy, peaceful garden, because that's exactly what they're talking about. But the reason why they're talking about it is because when they go to the happy, peaceful garden, what happens? Well, what happens is that the mental stuff that's going on mentally releases, because it's now focused on something else. You can only focus on one thing at a time, for the most part. But you can only focus on one thing at a time. Just use that as the general rule. So if you're focused on something that's happy and joyful and gives you joy, then you're going to be open and free-flowing, which is why you can literally ignore all the problems in your life, focus on what you want, and get the result. Okay? I'm not kidding you. You can just ignore all the negative things, focus on what you want, and you will get the result, because your focus is determining that. Okay? So there's two different schools of thought here. One of the schools of thought is that if you focus on what you want, not focus on what you don't want, and move towards that feeling as it's telling you to do this, do this, do this, go this way, go this direction, then you will continue going in that direction. You won't have that whatever it is that's holding you back, and you will move towards whatever it is that you want, and you will get whatever it is that you asked for. Okay, so that's one way. And does that work? 100%. Okay, there's another way, which is if, say, for example, like, let's just look at it this way. Let's say your physical body has a, let's say that it's injured, okay, and one of your goals is you want to run a marathon. Now, you can just ignore it and just sort of limp your way through the marathon. And you can run the marathon and you can finish the marathon. Now, let's say your goal is that you want to win the marathon. That's a little bit different. What that means is you might need to heal the physical issue, and by healing the physical issue, you will then be able to win the marathon, right? You'll have your mental stuff in play, you'll have your goal, like your I am, your spirit, desired destination, and then you'll have the physical in play as well. So part of this game is really in terms of balancing and bringing into alignment, and in a lot of cases training your physical self, your mental self, to be in alignment with your I am, with your soul, spirit, individuated soul consciousness, your inner being, your you, the you that is everyone and everything. Now, the physical is usually the last place to catch up because it is the most dense, okay? So that's why there's, if you have routines and patterns and things that you do regularly that put you into that free-flowing state physically, then that's going to work really well for you. If you have a mental routine that you can do as well, that's going to work out really well for you. And then what happens is your body and your mind are then able to go in the direction that your spirit directs you, and things happen really quick. So part of that, like if you've gone through a traumatic childhood, if you've gone through trauma in your life, which most of us have, you have two choices. And the two choices are, you can either ignore whatever is going on that's negative, get what it is that you want, by focusing on it and ignoring all the other stuff. You can do that and it works. The other school of thought is that you can clean up that which is the injury, so that you're able to, and this is preparing in a lot of ways, preparing for the long-term game. You'll be able to win the marathon, whatever that is for you. It doesn't mean actually needing to come in first, but whatever winning is for you, you will be in a position or a better position to do that. The trade-off is that if you do the long-term thing, if you actually take the time to heal without, heal all that physical stuff, in other words, come to peace with it, be okay with it, accept that it happened, accept that it's part of you, releasing it, letting go of it. If you go through that process, just understand and be okay that it might take longer for you to manifest that which you want, instead of ignoring it. If you just ignore it, you could probably do it faster, I'm just telling you. But if you want sustained results, if you have a larger goal that you believe is going to need to, you'll need to deal with that physical stuff, you're probably going to be moving forward, ignoring a bunch of stuff, going forward, and then you may have these moments where the physical body kind of breaks, like it doesn't have any more, it just has to deal with whatever you've been ignoring for a little while, and then you go through a healing mode. So the trade-off in this, and the way to do that second school of thought, is to go forward in the direction that you want to go. Ignore some of that negative stuff. Keep focusing your thought on and tuning your thought and getting into a habit of thought on focusing what it is that you want. Okay? And ignoring some of that negative stuff to get things done. And that might be just arriving at a way of thinking as well too. It doesn't necessarily have to be physical. So you may do some of that, but at the same time you want to balance it out with actually sitting and feeling what it is, or that physical stuff as the physical stuff comes up, and going through that process at the same time. So that's where we have practices, where we're moving towards whatever it is that we're doing, and then we're also working on ourselves. Okay? That's where this practice comes in. So if you lopsidedly do one over the other, you can still get results, but you may have these moments where you just crash and burn. And that's totally normal in this whole process. Don't beat yourself up about it. But there's a way to do it in a balanced way, and sometimes that means taking a few days to deal with yourself and deal with the stuff that you're doing, or deal with the stuff that's come up. Because guess what? When that happens, when there's these moments of like breakdown, which happens, I mean, I have these things that happen, and it's become just a part of life. It's not good, or sorry, it is always good, actually. It's not bad. It's not this horrible thing. It's just part of the process. It's the physical now releasing, catching up with the mental and the spiritual, or the I am. So it's all coming into alignment. The physical can sometimes take a little bit of time in this process because it is the most densest form, okay? Just so you know. So it's all normal, it's all part of the journey, but that's an overview of the different systems, the seniority, the priority, so spirit, mental, physical, okay? And then over on the side, here's the emotional system, which acts as a guidance control to give you feedback on the alignment of these three different systems, okay? And then there's the two schools of thought, and the two schools of thought which can be used together are, number one, to decide, get clear with what it is that you want, focus fully on what it is that you want. When something, a negative feeling comes up, or you're focusing on something that isn't pleasing to you, or is very, very low density, you can ignore it and continue focusing on what you want and go forward and get the results, okay? That's one way. And then in conjunction, there's a balance where it either becomes, if you do too much of school of thought number one, it becomes manic, and you kind of become this like positive freak where you have all this negativity that you're ignoring, and that starts to come out in your everyday life. So when that starts to happen, you need to be aware of that, because it's kind of weird when it happens. And it also is putting out a discordant frequency into the world. So when you notice that, that's a good sign when it first happens to do that inner work, to get your house in order. And when I say house in order, I'm talking about this. Get the physical aligned with your mental and your spiritual self, okay? And sometimes that means, you know, going into a cave for a couple days, whatever your proverbial cave is, and just and doing whatever that work is, whatever your practice is, for you, okay, to get your physical into play with that. So hopefully that helps. To get your physical into play with the other systems. So hopefully that helps. A combination of the two different schools of thought can keep things in alignment, and just know that everything that's happening is good. It's happening for you always, in every way, and be kind to yourself, because in most cases, the result, I should say in pretty much all cases, if you've asked for it, you're going to get it, period. So you just need to come into harmony and alignment with yourself, and then it shows up, okay? Then it shows up in the densest form, which is the physical, okay? So you're 90% there. That may help you with that last 10%. Hope it helps, but there it is. There's some information, and I'll chat with you later. Take care. Bye-bye.